All right, so we are about to get into a pretty heated, pretty emotionally charged, highly debatable topic: dog parks, off-leash dog parks. So there's, well, hi, buddy. Okay, excuse me, sir, excuse me. So that's my cat Butters. I guess he wanted to help me out with my video today. That's okay. All right, do your thing, buddy. Okay, so let's talk about dog parks. So you will find that the popular opinion among the professional dog training world, or even just the dog training world, maybe he wants to sit here with me. Yes, so in addition to loving dogs very much, I also have Mr. Kitty. I'm a huge cat person. We'll see if he wants to hang out for the dog park video. Yes, he's the best boy. Okay, enough about my cat. So yeah, usually if you were to ask probably, I would say 10 dog trainers about dog parks, you would probably get 10 dog trainers who would tell you it's just really not a great idea, because they're actually not. And I'm going to tell you why, but I'm also going to tell you some of the benefits that can come with dog parks. So do I actually work with dogs at dog parks? So in short, the answer to that is yes, I do. However, I only take a couple of my clients' dogs to the dog parks, and these are dogs that I have been working with for at least a year. So I've had a lot of time to study their body language cues and know what means what in what situations. I've also had a lot of time to build that positive reinforcement history and relationship with them. And I've also had a lot of time working on proximity training and recall. So it's kind of like we have an unspoken agreement, you know, if they're maybe getting into some shenanigans and maybe doing some stuff that they maybe shouldn't be doing, or if they're, you know, feeling a little unsure, they can always come to me for safety and guidance. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking your dog to the dog park. It is not the time nor the place to work on socializing your dog. I especially would not bring puppies that have not had all of their vaccinations yet. I cannot tell you how many times I see these itty bitty, teeny tiny little precious babies that are not fully vaccinated. Please don't do that. If you need to find some sort of appropriate environment for your puppy to socialize in, I would recommend trying to connect with other puppies for play dates, or other adult dogs that are known to be pretty friendly that are fully vaccinated, or even a puppy socialization group for your puppies. Also, if you rescue a new dog, please do not socialize them at the dog park. So again, I would try to find some sort of local training program or a trainer that can help you work on this, maybe some small play groups and things like that, because dog parks can be very overstimulating and very overwhelming, even for the friendliest of dogs. And basically it's because it's a different group of dogs every single time, and dogs are having to constantly, you know, scan each other's body language and behavior, and you have all sorts of different dogs there. People bring really timid and shy, fearful dogs there who actually don't want to be there, and then you have the timid, shy, small dog, and then the super overly friendly puppy. Then they want to play, and it's just chaos and everything. And also, a lot of times, you know, it's kind of like taking your kids to the playground. I'm not saying that all dog parents are bad pet parents and don't pay attention, but a lot of times with dog parks, people just unhook their dog's leash and off they go. People are doing other things, they're chit-chatting with each other, they're not paying attention, they're maybe on their phone, you know, having a conversation or texting or things like that. So nobody's watching the dogs. I mean, I'm always watching the dogs, but again, nobody's watching the dogs. Also, there is no way to regulate and ensure that the dogs that are coming into the dog park are fully vaccinated. So the vaccinations that are usually recommended for dogs to safely socialize with other dogs are going to be, the two main ones are going to be your distemper and your rabies, but also Bordetella. So Bordetella is the vaccination that can be helpful in preventing kennel cough, which is highly contagious. Also, what if you have a dog that I don't know, has like a goopy eyeball or is sneezing and has a cold and stuff like that. Like, yuck, that's kind of nasty. So they can kind of be like cesspools of disease. So not really appropriate sometimes. Also, I have seen a lot of people take, I don't really necessarily want to say aggressive dogs because I don't think aggressive is the proper term to use, but I've seen a lot of people take dogs who are really uncomfortable and then also having them on leash in the dog park when there's like a short leash, not like a longer leash. Long lines are, that's a whole different video, but like on a short leash, and then you have all these dogs coming in and then the dog kind of freaks out. And also a lot of people don't know their dog's body language cues. They don't know that, hey, there's a dog approaching my dog or my dog is approaching another dog, and actually the body language and everything that's going on, throwing out red flags, warning signals all over the place, and that approach of those dogs actually needs to be interrupted. Like, we don't want those dogs interacting at all. So I do highly recommend, even if you're not planning on taking your dog to the dog park or anything like that, I do highly recommend learning your dog's body language and what things mean. Dogs are so subtle in how they communicate with their bodies that I most of the time, I know what I'm looking for, but it happens so quickly that oftentimes I miss it. And it's so subtle, it's so nuanced. But things that you can do, I like to use the, this is from Susan Garrett, so it's called TEMP, so T-E-M-P. So the T is going to be paying attention to the posture of the tail. So the position of the tail can actually mean different things. Is it up here? Sit down here, sit down here. So I can do a whole nother video just on body language cues. So T is for tail. So E is going to be the position of the ears. So ears can tell you a lot. Also eyes. Are they like open and big and blinking? Or are they starting to fixate on something? So M is going to be mouth. So is it open with the tongue lolling out to the side, pretty happy-go-lucky, or is it closed shut? You can see some of that wrinkling. Obviously, you know, when you have that wrinkling and you can see your dog pull its lips back, like, we're already past the point of everyone being upset. So that's definitely a go away, I'm really upset. And also posture. So like one thing with our last dog, Tucker, he was a medium-sized dog, and he was pretty furry, but whenever he was interested in something, not necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna beat that dog up, he would go from this to this. It's almost like he went up on risers. So again, it's gonna be TEMP, so T-E-M-P, so definitely pay attention to that. Okay, so we have discussed all of the downsides to the dog park, which there are many. So just proceed with caution, my friends. Don't take a brand new dog that you just got. Don't take an unvaccinated puppy. If you're wanting to, you know, have your dog have friends and think, you know, I wouldn't necessarily take them to the dog park. There's just so many things that can go wrong. And actually, it's amazing that out of all of the dogs that go to the dog park on a daily basis across the United States and the world, that there's not actually more severe incidents that happen. But anyway, so let's talk about the great things at a dog park. So it does give your dog some off-leash time. So dogs unfortunately live in this little tiny box, and they usually have to go out on leash, which, you know, can really put a damper and really inhibit their movement. So it does give them off-leash freedom. For those dogs that are friendly and enjoy meeting other dogs, it gives them an opportunity to meet other dogs. But remember, it's a mixed bag at the dog park. So if you are wanting to take your dog to the dog park, I highly recommend seeing if you can find one in your area that is fenced off, different portions. So a lot of times you'll have a high energy play and then like a lower energy play or small dog play. So that's something where you can always have your dog and then it can interact with the dogs through the fence. Just be careful of barrier frustration. So if you are wanting your dog to have more off-leash freedom, I wouldn't necessarily put them off-leash, but I would just put them on a really, really long leash, and then they can kind of mosey around and things like that. So taking your dog to the dog park is not the only way that your dogs can actually have freedom of movement. There's other ways that we can do that. So I guess in short, I wouldn't necessarily recommend dog parks. They're not really my favorite place to take dogs. However, I do see the need for them, and it is appropriate for some dogs in some situations, and some dog and pet parent relationships. Like if you tend to be a pretty anxious person, I wouldn't recommend putting yourself and your dog in that situation, because you are just going to be a basket case and a worrywart the entire time, and it's not really going to be a great time for anyone. So use your best judgment. If it's something you're wanting to work towards, I would definitely recommend maybe contacting a positive and rewards-based trainer that can kind of help walk you through the process, or just find other ways for your dogs to be able to socialize with other dogs.